Nice to see all these folks. Hi, Celeste. Ken, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Randy. Well, thank you. David, hola. Hi, Julie. I can't see your face, but I see your name. Hi, Laura. Hey, Chris. Chris, your beard looks luxurious. I want to start mostly on time, but I'm going to give it just another minute or so. Hi, Dina. Just one more minute. Hi, Leanne. Nice to see students on here as well. Hey, Jara. I'm going to unmute you just in case you have anything to.
Well, you know, I'm excited. Here we go.
I know
It's always exciting when school starts.
she unmuted me too, and now I'm realizing I can't go back to my Math 1 Pear Deck and keep planning. Because it would be too loud.
I mean, you can. No one will blame you. All right, it is 6:03, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, there. I'm going to unmute you too, Scott. Thank you so much for coming. I can unmute you. And then Ken, I'm going to make, well, let's see, you host in a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so the purpose of the meeting, first of all, thank you all so much for coming. And the purpose of the meeting is to, it's mostly informational, and it's intended to go through what our schedule is going to look like for this year as of now. And to talk about what distance learning is going to look like for our school. So it's kind of a flyover. And I do want to keep it to about an hour, but I'm hoping we can carve out a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, any questions you might have, and we will hope to answer them. We may not be able to answer them all, but we would hope to. So I'm just going to kind of fly through. And if I say anything that you need a little bit of clarity on, you can go ahead and add that to the chat. So bring your attention to that toolbar. It's either at the bottom or at the top. If you're on a phone or an iPad, it might be a little funky. There should be a toolbar there. And if you click on chat, you can go ahead and type in any questions that you have or any comments. And if you go to participate, at the end, you would like to ask a question or say something, If you go to participants, that will allow you to raise a hand virtually. And since we have so many participants, we want to make sure that we see your hand. So please use that feature to ask a question or make a comment at the end when we sort of open it up. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and take you through a bit of a presentation. Can everybody see our lovely logo with the hawk?
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
All right, so today we're gonna cover a little bit of the context because I wanna share with you a timeline to give you some insight on what our planning process has looked like, because I'm sure on the parent and it's definitely probably felt like a little bit of whiplash because we're sending information out to you and that information has changed pretty consistently in the last few months. So I'll also go over, you know, our priorities for just so you all know the page that we're on and the things that we've kept top of our list when we put together these plans. And a little bit about what distance learning is going to look like at Inspire in the coming year. Some information about how we can support you with your technology needs or nutrition services needs. And then next steps for parents, because there are some things that we need you to do on your end before school starts on August 11th. I can't believe that it starts on August 11th, but here we go. So in together this pretty complicated plan for school, we have kept, staff have kept at the top of our list, priority to provide a safe learning environment for our students. And of course, along with that has been a priority to keep a safe learning environment for teachers as well. And then the second priority to support student social and emotional well-being. And then finally, to do what Inspire does so well, and that is to provide a wide range of high quality coursework that allows students to discover their passions and deepen their interests. And I want to share this with you just so you know that we're all on the same page, that we care most about the things that you care most about, and that is to support your child's learning, to support their feeling of safety. And that has been where a lot of the difficulty lies as well, because in some ways, students need to be on campus and they need to be engaging with their peers and teachers to feel that social and emotional safety. So it's really been this kind of tug of war of how do you provide for all of those things at the same time? Because we know the lowest risk would be to keep kids and teachers off campus. And we know that now we are going to be off campus, but just want to give you a sense of, you know, where the challenges have been. So in terms of the timeline, just to give you a little background, starting in April, all the way up to now, Inspire has been collaborating with parents, with students, with staff, with community and post-secondary partners, with state and county health agencies, with education agencies, pulling in all the resources we can to figure out a plan that's going to work for our students and our school. So we've had lots of different resources on that. We've been to every webinar, I think, that's been offered out there. And one of the things that has been most, I can tell you, is the partnership with parents. Our plan evolved a lot in those few months, and the feedback from parents from what their students and their families need really helped us to put together and develop a plan that we felt good about presenting to our board. So we presented the plan to the board on July 13th. They approved the plan. And then 1 week later, there was a warning issued by Butte County Public Health that we would be most likely be placed on the COVID-19 state monitoring list. So we were placed on that list on 2 days later, July 22. And on July 25th, countywide restrictions began, including mandated distance learning for all schools. So that really, we had to kind of launch into action to redesign our plan for distance learning. So that takes us to today, to our parent information meeting. Tomorrow I will send out a newsletter with a video of this meeting and all the information that I've presented, in case that's helpful to you. We will be sending out, we plan to send out an email to all parents with data confirmation forms and tech checkout logistics. So there are some things that we're going to need parents to check in at the Inspire office and pick up for their students. We'll also be sending out some letters to all families with back to school information and reminders. So don't feel like you have to remember everything that I went over tonight. I'll also send out my weekly newsletter with information about tech distribution and resource information. This week, August 3 through 7, that's next week, we'll have opportunities for tech pickup in the front office, and that's by appointment. We only want one person in the office at a time, so families will be able to sign up to come pick up a Chromebook or a laptop and any textbooks that they might need. And then I hope everyone has this on their calendars. School starts August 11th. Just a logistics piece. If you have a burning question, go ahead and put it in the chat. Ken Hardy is monitoring the chat, and he's going to stop me if there are any questions that we absolutely have to have answered before we can go on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about distance learning at Inspire. I know I'm going kind of fast, but again, you'll have a chance at the end to stop me and ask any burning questions that you have. Ken, is there anything we really need to address right now before?
Couple questions about schedules. I thought the answer would be Monday is when they'd be released, or are we talking Friday afternoon?
That's still a question. I think we're aiming for Friday. It might be Monday in the near future, I guess is the answer. Master schedule is a beast, and it often requires tweaking right at the end, so it's hard to nail down on that, but within a few days. Okay, so this is something that I really want to clarify, because this has been a piece that's been very confusing. So Inspire will be delivering instruction through distance learning, and that is like what happened last semester, where instruction was delivered via Schoology. The teachers developed the curriculum. The Inspire teachers delivered the curriculum. Students engaged in the class from home. And this is an important piece that a lot of you filled out those forms choosing the hybrid schedule or the full-time schedule or the independent study model. I need everyone to know that by default, all students will be placed in distance learning. So you don't necessarily need to fill out another form. Your kiddo is going to be learning via distance learning. Unless you would like your child to be signed up for independent study. So independent study is different. It's an online curriculum. It's called Edgenuity. And students, again, work independently at home. They don't have their regular teachers teaching. They have a couple of dedicated independent study teachers, Mr. Kaufman and Mr. Eastern, who are going to be supervising that work. And only students whose families choose this model will be placed in independent study. This is something that might work for you and your student if your student really wants to work on their own timeline. They really want to be completely independent and they don't want to have to log into Zoom meetings with their teachers every day. It might work for your family a little bit better if you need that flexibility. So think about that, and if you would like your child to be enrolled in independent study, you can certainly sign up for that. If you want your child to be placed in distance learning, that's just going to happen by default. You don't need to sign up for anything. Ken, am I missing something there?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll move on. So let's talk about the 1x8 block schedule. This is kind of our radical schedule that we developed and that our board approved. So the big idea here is that students take one class at a time plus virtual advisory. So each class covers a year's worth of material in 4.2 weeks. So it's really a deep dive, an immersive experience, diving into a subject area and covering what needs to be covered in 4.2 weeks. And this was originally designed to minimize contacts between teachers and students, so you could sort of have these pods who stay together in case anyone gets sick. It really was designed to minimize that spread that could happen. And we're sticking with this schedule because that would allow us to continue with that plan in the case that we could return to in-person learning. And I don't want to speak for teachers, but I guess I will in this moment, and then teachers, you can chime in, but I think we have a lot of teachers who are really excited about this schedule in distance learning because it allows them to really laser focus on one class and really engage with those students and make sure that kids aren't falling through the cracks. Because they only have to focus on, let's say, 30 kids versus 120. So just to give you an example of what the school calendar would look like, we have our first 2 days of school starting August 11th and 12th. And just like we have in the past, that's going to be a time when it's really a culture building piece. We're going to talk about how Inspire works, and especially for those students that are incoming, it's a way for them to sort of become embedded in the culture of Inspire. And we're excited about how this is going to happen. Even from a distance, we feel like we can make this happen. And then period 1 starts August 13th and goes through September 10th. Those final assessments, the wrap up is going to happen in the morning session. And then when period 2 starts on September 10th in the afternoon, that's going to be a sort of orientation of the next class, an overview of what they're going to dive into. And then class happens full force the next day through October 13th. So I'll just give you a little bit of time to look at that calendar. And of course, we will send this out in the newsletter in printable form. We'll also have it on the website. So I want to take a look at the daily schedule. And again, this is for students that are in distance learning. There will be a lot more structure than there was last semester for parents that are wondering about that. So from 8:30 to 12, this is really when that direct instruction is going to happen. And students will need to attend school via Zoom at 8:30. So that means they'll need to wake up at and be ready for school by 8:30. We will be taking attendance during that time. And it would be good to think about a spot where students could begin working that was a dedicated workspace and not bed. And I will have to talk to Ms. Smith about not wearing pajamas, just so you know, but we'll have that discussion later. So direct instruction happens between 8:30 to noon. And so it starts again with a Zoom meeting. It's a time to engage, check in, a time for teachers to lay out the lesson plans and prepare students for what they're going to learn that day. And we're asking for at least 30 minutes of virtual live engagement, Zoom or some other platform. And then from there, between 8:30 and noon, it's really up to teachers how much they want students to engage via Zoom. So we're talking a minimum of half an hour, and then from there, teachers can use Zoom or some other online platform to engage kids as much as they want to. But just as an example schedule, let's say we start with that Zoom introduction, and then English 10, Ms. Kaufman's class, maybe they would do a quick write in a virtual notebook. There's maybe a video mini lecture that she's put together that could happen via Zoom again. Students might read an annotated text. They might meet again on Zoom and their annotations and what they discovered. They might work on a group assignment until noon. Then from 12 to 1, that's time to take a break, eat lunch. Students that are in clubs might attend club meetings. And then from 1 to 3, this is a time for extended learning. So this is additional work that students are working on independently. So for example, they might read their assigned lit chapters, they might write an essay response, whatever it is that Ms. Kaufman wanted them to do and accomplish that day, they'd be working on independently. Those afternoon times might be a time where teachers can call and check in with students one-on-one or work with students in smaller groups. So just a sort of flexible time for teachers to be able to support on a more individual level, and then for students to be able to work on what they need to work on for that day. This is a heads up that for now, advisories are meeting only on Fridays, so just a once a week check-in from 1 to 1:30 on Fridays via Zoom. So it's a way for them to continue to connect with their advisories. If you are an incoming student or parent of an incoming student, advisory is kind of an amazing piece that we're really proud of at Inspire. It's one class, one teacher that your student gets to know, and they become like family, a small community, and they stay together for all 4 years. And there's a lot that happens in advisory. It's really a time for community building, build trusting relationships with each other, a time for students to really share and talk about how they're feeling and what they're going through. It's really an amazing piece that we do at Inspire. So I'm looking forward to your students meeting their teacher, their advisory teachers and peers. And then if we look at that 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock time, that's time for, again, extracurriculars to happen. This could be clubs happening, AP prep, because we'll want to have consistent check-ins for AP students. It's time for student government meetings, whatever it is that needs to happen after school. I want to stop here because I think now, before we talk about grades and learning expectations, I'd like to open it up to teachers to talk a little bit about what they're thinking for the coming year and what their plans are for distance. And I really wanted to open it up to math and science and performing arts, because those are the classes that are going to be a little bit more difficult to translate. So I'm going to open it up to Danielle Reynolds first. She's our math teacher, to share what the math department is talking about. Go for it, Danielle.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm sorry, I turned my video off just because my computer's a little hot, and I turned my little air conditioning unit off so that it wouldn't interfere with my sound. So I'm gonna start off by saying that we are all still shifting into this mode, and I'm not gonna claim to have this figured out or be planning a well-oiled machine. One thing I really love about Inspire is that even teachers, we get the opportunity, and the community is really thoughtful and forgiving of us to try wild new things. And when they don't work, we get great feedback about it. And when they do work, we get feedback about it. So with all that said, you know, I've been meeting with different math teachers, and what we're excited about is the opportunity to do these deep dives. And of course, these conversations started when we thought we would be going back in person with smaller groups, and we'd be having these smaller cohorts in the mornings for 3 hours. So shifting to distance learning, what that looks like, currently my way of thinking, and then also Mr. Kaufman's and Mr. Marcy's, is that chunk in the morning is going to be some variety of live Zoom meetings with breaks, and it's not going to be direct instruction lecture for 3 hours. None of us know how to do that, really. I mean, we could pull it off, but we'd lose our voice every day and it would be boring for everybody. So I know I'm looking at breakout room possibilities. I'm exploring something called Pear Deck through Google Slides. It's very interactive for students. It allows me to ask questions, have them answer it, and then I get formative feedback I can respond to. I'm really excited about that. And so it'll look different, but generally speaking, that morning chunk of time, I'm expecting to be meeting with my students in some capacity via Zoom with breaks thrown in. And then in the afternoons, I'm not exactly what that will look like on the student. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like on the student end. It's going to depend on when I'm teaching that day. But kind of in line what Mrs. Brown is saying, there will be some component of like kind of a homework related practice, or maybe there's a video to watch or a journal reflection on what we did that day. And then I would also like to use those afternoons as opportunities to schedule phone calls or Zoom meetings with families, students that just need that one-on-one check-in. I'm seeing some faces on here where we did that last spring and it worked really well with the parent and a student. So I'm excited for that too. You know, I've never taught elementary school, so I'm unfamiliar with parent conferences, but I think I could probably pull it off. We'll see. So that's kind of a flyover. I will address the fact that, you know, as a math teacher, when I was thinking about this originally, this one class at a time for 4.2 weeks, one of my first gut reactions was, oh my gosh, how do I teach an entire year of curriculum in 4 weeks? And is it going to stick? Like, if they only have 4 weeks of math, are they going to be able to carry that into next year? And I was having a conversation with my husband about it, and we both were reflecting on times when we have done deep dive workshops into one topic and how we learned more from those experiences than a year's worth of a class that we didn't really engage with. One thing I'm really happy about at our school is, for the most part, I think we have engaging classes, even if you don't like math, most students engage. So, you know, it's 4 weeks of math, but it's also, hey, it's only 4 weeks of math. So I don't know if I'm answering all of the questions, but I'll try and stick around for another half hour or so. And if there's any questions, I'll answer them in the chat. And I'd like to turn it over to Jara or Scott so that you guys can have some more teacher perspectives.
Thank you so much, Danielle. You can go swim with me now. So I'll turn it over to Scott, our illustrious math and science teacher. Go for it, Scott.
Sure. Hi, everybody. And engineering. So yeah, there's challenges for each type of class. I think Danielle spoke well to what we're going to do in math. I think part of the goal is to make it feel as much as the normal classroom experience as possible. So in our model of teaching, there'll be a lot of student-student interactions, and we've been working on tech tools to make that happen. I think we're there. I think that's going to work really, really well. And if I could use two terms with you, is synchronous versus asynchronous. You're going to hear that a lot with distance learning. Synchronous at the same time, asynchronous at different times. And so basic kind of model is the 8:30 to 12 is the synchronous portion, where there'll be whole class, there'll be small group, a lot of interactions. Even in the small groups, the teacher will be able to interact with those small groups. It'll be virtual, but it'll be very similar feel. Students will still be producing a lot of mutual work. We have virtual whiteboards happening. There's a lot of things we are working with, and it's going to be kind of exciting, I think, to play with these tools and see what it's like. And I think if we do get to go back to the classroom, I think it'll be fairly seamless to go back into the classroom. It won't be a big jump. Afternoons will be independent work, but also I'd like to facilitate a lot of more small group work in the afternoons. Again, getting study teams together with a class of only maybe 20 or so. The level of intervention we can do with 20 kids versus what we normally have, 150, 180 kids, is astounding. You'll be hearing from us. My plan is at least every other day that every parent gets an update report on how things are going. Because every day is going to be a week. It's going to go fast. It's going to go furious. And do realize we're not going to be able to cover the entire curriculum. We are already talking about what are the most important points, what are the most important things we want kids to get out of a course. And so there'll be real big emphasis on the thinking skills, the critical thinking skills, the communication skills, the big picture ideas. But of course, there's also concepts and other things that kids need for various reasons. But also even beyond high school, the colleges, they know where we're at, and they are changing expectations. SAT is off for seniors this year. There's a lot of things that are different. AP class, I teach AP statistics. Last year, the AP test was completely different than it has ever been before. Who knows what will happen this year? And so people are responding. So I agree with what Danielle said about the math instruction. It's still going to be highly interactive. And we have a lot of cool ideas, and there's more and more tech tools out there to make this happen. We are embracing a lot of the work of our favorite mathematician, Joe Bowler, and really pulling in equity and interaction and trying to deal very, very directly with math phobias and turning math into a favorite class rather than a least favorite class. There's a challenge for you, but we're up to the task, at least trying. In science, the big difference I see is, of course, is the lab experience. How do you do that virtually? The cool thing is there's lots and lots of online tools now. So we'll be running simulations. We'll be running virtual laboratories. I'll also be doing a little bit of video laboratory where I'll go to the classroom and do the work, and the kids still have to interact with the material, make the measurements, do all the calculations, the analysis. We'll put them back still into groups where they're doing that analysis as groups. So again, as much as possible, like a classroom feel. Engineering is challenging because engineering is kind of building. That will be intriguing. We're working on some virtual like robotics tools and virtual engineering tools. And those are coming online, and some of our publishers of our curriculum are really stepping up and doing a lot to see how can we make this work as best we possibly can with distance learning. So obviously not ideal, but there's a lot of good things happening. In science, I can see something like Mr. Peak's physics. He's the only science class that's going to start off period 1 in August. Good thing thing about freshman physics is that it's a lot of its equipment is very simple. So you could probably check out a few things with students, and they could do a lot of experiences at home. And all that just has to be worked out. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Peak because it's going on for a while, but we're working all those things through, and it's coming together. There's challenges, but there's also some things. I think after this year, we'll go, wow, we learned so much, and we're going to be incorporating some of those ideas later on. We're learning a lot of pedagogical techniques, and big thing, lots and lots of communication. If a student's not doing well that day, chances are you're going to hear from us that day about it. And that is a kind of new and exciting because it's so difficult to do with 150 kids. 20 kids, oh yeah, if we're not doing that, we're not doing our jobs.
Scott, thank you so much. I'm glad you spoke to the lab piece because folks have been asking me and I've been saying, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. It's going to be intriguing.
Much more articulate. Thank you. And then finally, I'm going to turn it over to Jara to talk about the performing arts. Let's see. Let me try to unmute you, Jara. All right, you're on, girl.
Hello. Becky, would you mind letting me share my screen so I can talk to those points? I'll go faster.
Okay, no problem.
So, hi everyone. I think one of the big questions, and I've had emails from parents and text messages from kids and Instagrams and Facebooks. How are we doing performing arts in this distance learning? Well, we've been working all summer and doing a lot of research and a lot of our homework that to come up with creative and unique ways of doing that. So your performing arts team met on Monday, and I'm super excited to share with you what we came up with. And you'll get a copy of this. Becky's gonna send it out. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Becky, great, okay. So This is a statement we wrote collaboratively, Jim White, myself, Sarah Shoemaker, Aaron Horst, and our new vocal teacher, Olivia. And this kind of gives you an outline of what we're looking at for performing arts. So I know Danielle and Scott talked about what's happening in class, and we will still, of course, have all of our performing arts classes. Nothing has changed in that respect. And we are excited to do deep dives into what we love to do. They will look different, but we are hoping to do as much hands-on as possible from home. And I know some of us have packets we're creating for classes that will be distributed. And we're looking at new kinds of technologies, such as Mr. White is looking at a program where students can practice at home, and the program records them and tells them what they're doing right and wrong in the moment, and they can prepare their pieces of music, and then when orchestra falls, a lot of that music will already be learned, and then they would work on it collaboratively. So we're looking at a lot of different things to make it as engaging as possible. The Performing Arts Department at our school, as many of you know, is heavily influenced by extracurriculars, clubs, and our outside programming. So that's one of the things this handout addresses. It will have information on how we're looking at doing the play, which we have chosen to do Alice in Wonderland. And we have actually pulled back on it a little bit. We were hoping to have it completely written and ready to start producing as soon as school started. But we have made a choice to not finish writing it and actually have a team of student writers help us write the play. And we will be putting information about that out the first week of school. And then looking at different ways of producing it, such as a movie, a live stream, or if later in the year we're able to do a live performance, how that would work. So we're excited to use that material to prepare students' audition skills, research skills, how you write a play from scratch. So we're pretty excited to work on that. Probably the biggest announcement I have for tonight is that we have chosen a musical to work on. We are looking at Phantom of the Opera. Yay! I am super excited. This was kind of a feat to pull off, but I can't promise we'll stage it, but I can promise that we are going to work on it, and we're excited to see where that leads us. We have a big thumbs up from the people who hold the rights, and they're excited to help us work through the current situation and still get this material out to our students and work collaboratively across our disciplines to create a production, or at least do a deep dive in what it means to produce a musical. So that's kind of where we're headed with that. And we have a little bit more information there about that. For our clubs, we are still looking at having all of our performing arts clubs. They will be Zoom and for the start of the year. And if we do start in-person instruction, they will just follow over to in-person as things allow. And we are working on creating a Zoom club calendar, and that goes across all of our clubs on campus. We currently have 24 active clubs on campus. That may shift and change a bit. Some can't be done if they're not in person, and then we might have some unique clubs that we can create because of the situation we're in. So clubs will either meet weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly for 30 minutes to an hour, and that will be on a regular schedule so students will be able to integrate that into their week. Clubs that are traditionally run through classes, this is primarily done in the performing arts. Classes like orchestra, pop band, theater, musical theater, choreography, dance, production team, choir, and small vocal groups. We are looking at doing a year-long, I don't know how to put it, it's kind of like a club check-in. Students would have to be enrolled in the class, but we are hoping to interact with them throughout the year. Because we know our students are incredibly passionate, and we want to set them up for when the class begins, and we want to follow up with them after the class ends. So it will be still a year-long checking in, giving new assignments, doing different things, having conversations, and developing their craft over the entire year. There was a question about majors. We are still doing majors. Curriculum will continue as planned, and that goes across our entire school. People are still doing majors. For our senior projects, we will be designing those with our students. That's how it's always done. And we are hoping to make them original projects that are relevant to the times we are in. They will have to address what we're facing. So it's not going to be your traditional major projects we might have seen students doing last year. They're going to have to design projects that work for the current state of affairs. So we will be working with them one-on-one to make that happen. And then lastly, I'll just go through these real quick. We don't know what's happening with showcases. We are going to hold on to our dates. And with our May showcases, we really don't need to decide till March if we're doing them live or not. So we have some time. And then in the meantime, as classes and clubs develop material, we are hoping to push them out digitally to our community and to our families. So we will still be working on material and doing performing arts. It's just going to look a little different for a while. And lastly, I think there's just some things you should know. Our teachers are super excited about doing some new opportunities, things that we've never been able to do because we only have 80-minute periods. And a lot of people are like, those are such a long time. But for performing arts, we're like, give us 8 hours. So we're excited to see what that leads to. And I guess that's kind of the big parts. Somebody had a question about PE. And since I teach dance, I'm going to address that question really quick. Minutes are no longer required. They were waived by the state of California. So students still have to have physical education credit, but they don't have to have a certain number of minutes accumulated in a 2-week period. So they have to be enrolled in a physical education class, but we won't be tracking minutes like we were before. They just have to pass the class. So that's a very different scenario than we have looked at over the past 10 years while we've run Inspire. So we will get those details out to students as school begins and how that will work in their classes that are accounting for physical education. And then lastly, a few people have sent questions about what's happening with Scotland. We have a number of students that were looking at heading to the Fringe in 2021. It's a go as of right now. And if it is canceled, people will get 100% refund. So that's just a quick update on that. So that's my spiel for performing arts.
Tara, thank you so much. And I don't know if you were monitoring the chat, but there was a lot of excitement about Phantom and Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, they're both very fun plays and musicals. So I think they're appropriate for the times. So.
Yeah, and I'll chime in about ISPE as well. Yes, that will still be offered. And again, there's a lot of flexibility for students to turn in their minutes, including parents signing. I hope that helps. Jara, can you make me host again?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Let's see here.
And there was also a question about fine arts. So there will be a chance for students to pick up packets of materials to be able to work at home using those art materials and working with Ms. Smith on that. So we have a plan for that as well. Maybe not so much bringing home pottery wheels, but the smaller pieces, yes. Okay, let me share again. Okay, let's talk about grades and learning expectations because this is different. Last year, during distance learning, we had to create a lot of cushion for students, but this year we're going back to the A through F scale, so back to sort of grading as usual. Students will be expected to do at least 4 to 5 hours of work per day, so again, much more structure here. So that's important for parents to know. If a student is absent, they need to check Schoology and make up the work ASAP. Again, 1 day amounts to about a week's worth of work. So it's important for students to make up anything that they missed as soon as they possibly can. If a student doesn't understand the assignment, they need to reach out to the teacher for help. And again, keep in mind those afternoon times, that's a great time for teachers to do that more one-on-one individual help and support. Major assignments will be posted on the class calendar in Schoology. So we're working on ways to make Schoology much more consistent. The teachers are making their expectations crystal clear, and any assignments that will have an impact on the grade, a significant impact on the grade, will need to be posted on the class calendar. So that's an easy way for students to keep track of the big things that are coming up for them. And then again, learning expectations and due dates clearly outlined. You're going to be able to look at, okay, today's Tuesday, so I'm going to go in and find the Tuesday folder, and that's going to tell me exactly everything that the teacher went through that day. We will be taking attendance, so students will attend class via Zoom. They will need to check in at 8:30 a.m. each day. If your student can't do that, if they're sick or if you're out of town as a family, you will need to call into the office and or write a note, whatever it is. Parents need to excuse that absence. Teachers, again, will provide at least 30 minutes of live online engagement each day starting at 8:30. But again, it's up to the teacher between 8:30 and noon how much of the class is that live online meeting time. Again, teachers will take attendance, so attendance is mandatory. Students will attend advisory virtually once a week on Fridays at 1. So that's something to keep in mind. Fridays are going to be different than every other day. And we really want to, I think one of the things that helps us to be kind of a school like no other is this real deep engagement with parents. I hate to use that "it takes a village" term, but it really, really does, especially now when students aren't physically in the classroom. So if you're wondering what you can do to support your student, you can reach out to teachers, and again, you'll only have one teacher at a time to worry about, and the advisory teacher. So it'll be really, really effective for you to reach out to that teacher if you haven't heard from them first. And always, always, please feel free to call me or to email if you have a question or concern. You can create a parent Schoology account, and this might be the best way that you can keep track of what's going on with your students every day. So parents can see due dates and they can see assignments. And this is a way to check in with your student instead of just saying, did you get your homework done? This is a way to really know. And then, again, monitoring ARIES. When a grade goes into ARIES, the assignment has already been due. So I think checking Schoology on a more consistent basis is a good way to keep track of what your student is doing, so you don't start seeing those missed assignments in ARIES after the fact. There was a question about ARIES, that those classes have just been turned over, so parents have not been able to log into ARIES yet, but we will have all that information available to you on how to log into Schoology and log into ARIES in our upcoming emails and newsletters. If you have trouble with it, just reach out to us and we'll give you some help. And then you can attend parent meetings. What I'd like to do is start holding monthly meetings, because I feel like it's really important for us to get feedback from parents and ideas and support. And I really see those as a time not for me to just shove information at you, but for us to have open discussion and to talk about how it's going for your students, any great ideas that you have, any feedback that you feel like would help us. So I'll include that information in my newsletters. You can also volunteer. There are lots of ways that you can dive in and help. And I'm going to make Celeste happy here and share the Support Inspire. Oh, hold on. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, can everybody see? No, maybe you can't. Okay, so if you go to the InspireChicoFoundation.com website, this beautiful website, you can see lots of ways that you can get involved. You can donate and become a supporter that way, or you can volunteer. So many ways, or you can share the opportunity to donate with other people. Lots and lots of ways that you can get involved in our community. So I really encourage you to do that. We need your help. Let me go back to my presentation. You probably can't see it now. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then amping up our two-way communication. Again, I feel like it's really important to know how parents are feeling, and also for us to communicate in a way that is very timely and that isn't overwhelming for you. So please do give me feedback about what's working and what's not. So I will continue to send those weekly newsletters to your email. If you're not getting those, that means we don't have your correct email address. So you want to make sure the office has that information. You'll have an opportunity really soon to send in a form to update your information. Students will receive information via Schoology and updates there. We will continue to have our community liaison team making calls to families to see how, what support we can offer your student, and to give us insight on how you would like to connect with us. Again, the teacher-parent communication, Scott spoke beautifully to how we can amp that up, this 1x8 schedule, and have really timely and close communication between parents and teachers. Again, I want to host monthly parent meetings with open forums, just to talk, just to discuss, problem solve together, get to know each other, build community. And then if you're wondering how progress reports will work, you're going to get a progress report at the halfway mark. So 2 weeks into a class, you'll be able to see how your student is doing and to intervene if needed. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ken here to talk about the technology piece.
Hi, everyone. So, yep, I've been busy typing away in the chat and texting with Dinah, our registrar. So let me just clear something up for new students and freshmen, incoming freshmen. Obviously don't have an Aries account yet. So what we'll do is we'll reach out to each of those new families individually to get you set up with, at least get you the schedule for your student's first period and your advisor or advisory class. So we will have to reach out to those folks separately. And that will be next week. So we're going to start issuing devices. The good news is we have devices for everyone, and we also actually have some brand new laptops that our digital photography class is going to start to take advantage of, and then our 2D animation class for the next period 2, and we're getting some new cameras for the photography class. So we got a lot of good stuff coming down the pike for our students. So that's something to be excited about. What you'll get eventually from links through Becky's emails will be a way for you to do your data confirmation. That's just, doing the normal school business. Let us know who the contacts are, who the backup contacts are. Make sure all the demographic information is up to date. You'll get a link to a calendar, which you'll be able to click on an appointment time. We'll start with Monday, and we'll go all the way through Thursday. Actually, go all the way through Friday, and if we have to do some makeups, we'll do some makeups on August 10th, Monday. You'll click on an appointment, come in, and get the things that you will need, your student will need for their class. So I've already reached out to all the teachers. I know what each class or each student will need for each class. If your student wants a Chromebook or doesn't want to use a Chromebook and wants to use a school your own device, that's okay. The student does not have to take a Chromebook. my email there is at the bottom. I'm the tech guy who you contact if you're having some problems, any kind of problems with technology, right? This isn't going to work if we're not connected. So my priority is to get you and your student connected. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime to get that support and help that you need. I want to offer a I'm putting in the chat box an information article about it's called Go Guardian. It is an app that we are going to try using this year. It's an app that that is going to basically it's a restriction software that prohibits your student from going to certain websites. It's called Go Guardian. There's an additional app that goes with that for parents if you want to know what your student is doing, where your student is browsing, when your student is on one of our devices. There's a way for you to get regular texts that will tell you what kind of browsing activity your student has been doing with the school device. Again, I emphasize school device. If your student is on a home device, it won't work for that. Let's see. I think I covered everything, Becky. So books and devices. Next week, you'll get an opportunity to pick an appointment time, and we'll get your student in and out of the campus as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ken. And I have to give a shout out to Ken because he has become our tech guru, and he really helped us to put together a plan for getting students devices in a short period of time. And he's been so much working out the logistics of that and supporting families. We so appreciate you, Ken. So
yeah, thanks.
Shout out.
Hopefully it'll work. Best laid plans.
Just a note that nutrition services will continue to be offered through Chico Unified. So families that need to can pick up breakfast and lunch. These are grab and go meals. So you can drive up and grab your meals, breakfast and lunch on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you'll get meals for 2 days on each of those days from 11 to 12:30 at these sites: Chapman Elementary, Citrus, Little Chico Creek, Chico Junior High, and Bidwell Junior High. Just a note about our first days of school. First days, students will be meeting in advisory. They will log into Schoology. So for incoming students, I'm really excited for you because this will be your opportunity to meet your advisory. And all other students, I'm excited too because this will be your chance to reunite. You'll log in through Schoology. Don't worry, you'll get all the information about how to do this. You'll connect with your advisories, and for the first 3 hours of the day, you'll be learning about school culture. We'll be doing some fun and engaging community building activities. You'll receive some how-tos, like how do I use Schoology, with some really simple videos that will help you to feel better and feel clearer about that. And just you'll learn about all sorts of ways to connect, like what clubs can you be a part of, what times do those clubs meet, how do you log into them. And for new students especially, I really encourage you to use this opportunity to challenge yourself and try new things. Join a couple of clubs and see what's out there. It's a great way to get to know people and to really plug into what's going on at Inspire. So we're excited about first days, and we'll give you more information about that. Jara, give me a heads up if I'm missing anything. Jara's kind of leading the way on that. She's giving me the thumbs up. So again, just keep the timeline in mind. August 3 through 7, so that's next week, we'll have tech pickup. I heard one family say that you might be out of town that week, so we'll have a makeup day on Monday. We'll be sending you a link to make an appointment to come in. We want to make sure that pickup is really safe for everyone. Action items for parents: you will need to fill out the data confirmation forms. Please look at information carefully and make sure that your contact information is correct. It's super vital that we're able to connect with you. You'll need to schedule a time to pick up materials that works for you next week or the Monday following. And please let us know if that's a hardship for you and you need some support with that, please let us know. You'll pick up your back to school technology and materials. And then school will start on Tuesday, August 11th. So please note that is 1 week earlier than Chico Unified. I don't know if that's been on everybody's radar. So make sure you mark your calendar. And again, we'll give you instructions for how to log into your advisory on the first day of school. So right now I want to open it up for just a few minutes for questions. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And at this point, if you could use that little toolbar, again, if you go to participants, it'll help you to raise your hand. And so Ken will be able to see you. And Ken, I'll make you host now so you can kind of moderate.
Okay.
And we're right at 7 p.m. So maybe 10 minutes for questions and answers. And then if you don't get your question answered, feel free to reach out and email or call.
Go ahead, Liz. You have a question?
Yeah, hi. So my experience with Schoology is that it gave the students a whole lot more information than it gave parents. I mean, when Stephen first started years ago, they're like, Schoology is going to be great. You're going to be able to keep on top of everything that's happening with your kid. And that wasn't the case. The parents had access to far less information, and it was like, okay, I could see what assignments were missing, but I could never see what assignments were coming up. So I wondered if you're going to rework Schoology for this situation.
You know, that's a great question, Liz. I'm glad you brought that up. And Ken, maybe this is a Dinah question, but one of the things that will be new for this year is there will be a lot more consistency. Like in the past, not all teachers posted assignments on the calendar. So I believe that's going to be really helpful to you as well. But if your experience, or this is to anyone, if your experience as we start school is that the Schoology side of things is not helpful to you, we want to know specifically why, so we can go in and troubleshoot, because we don't necessarily see the parent side. So, and like you said, Liz, it's vital that parents are able to check in that way. So give us feedback on that, and we'll do what we can to troubleshoot.
Okie doke.
Okay, Karen has a question.
Yeah, so in the event that you guys go back and are able to open up the school, will you still continue with the Zoom classes, or will people that do not want to attend the school have to go into that independent program? And will the classes still be the same? And will the electives, will they have the same electives that you offer?
That's a great question, Karen. So if we are able to go back in person and a parent did not feel safe sending their child back to school, the student would need to be enrolled in independent study. So they would need to take classes through Edgenuity. And we realize that this doesn't work perfectly for everyone. The issue really is around the logistics of a teacher being able to simultaneously teach via distance learning and also in the classroom. It requires a level of technology installed in the classroom and also training for teachers that would make it a hardship for us. So, so if we did go back to school and your student wasn't able to be on campus, they would have to be enrolled in Edgenuity.
Okay, but will those same classes be offered?
Most of them. There are a couple of, like, for example, performing arts classes that we wouldn't be able to match up.
Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you just be able to record the class? Like, if she's teaching in the class, just go ahead and record it on her computer so the kids that are at home can still participate in the class, rather than have to transfer to a completely different program.
This has been a big question for parents. So just if it's a lot to go over right now, and I can share with you the details of why the logistics would make that fairly impossible. So if any parents have questions about that, you can either call me and we'll talk individually, or I could hold a smaller meeting for parents. Especially as, you know, if things open up and we hear from the state that our numbers are way down. If we need to meet again, we can definitely do that. Because it's a great question. It's been a big concern for a lot of parents.
Okay.
Thanks, Karen.
Next question is from Lillian.
Ken, just a reminder to, once someone is done speaking, to then put them on mute and also lower the hand.
Thanks.
Okay. Oops.
Oops, I think Lillian was muted again, Ken.
I'm sorry.
I gave you the hard job.
I'm looking for you, Lillian, just a minute. I apologize.
Lill.
Yeah, I got you. How about now?
Okay.
Sorry.
Can everybody hear me? Good.
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Excellent. So what is the expectation of the students while on Zoom as far as, you know, their appearance, the background, you know, as far as music, TV, eating, drinking, pets, you know, those kinds of things, the distractions, or otherwise, you know, I mean, they're at home. It's 8:30 in the morning. Some of them are gonna probably wait until the absolute last minute to roll out of bed, and they'll have bedhead or still be in their pajamas, or, you know, eating cereal because, you know, they're just running behind or they think, oh, I'm at home, it's fine.
Yeah.
What is that expectation going to be?
Yeah, so we, that's a great question. And, you know, as I said, and I hate to throw her under the bus, but Ms. Smith did show up to a few Zooms in her pajamas. We'll forgive her. She's an art teacher. She's creative. She can do that. But for students, we'll definitely be having conversations about, you know, what we're in school. It is a Zoom, but, you know, it's important to be dressed and to show up and be ready for school, and not to necessarily be in your bed laying in a supine position in your pajamas. So we will have some conversations about that. Jara's giving me a funny look. I don't know if that answers your question, Lillian.
It does, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll address it.
Yeah, okay, because I mean, I know that there's a lot of controversy study that, you know, if you dress for the day, you know, you're more engaged in what's going on, as opposed to lounging around in your pajamas, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And I think sharing that information and that research with students would be a great first step. So yeah, in first days, we'll go over those expectations.
Excellent, okay.
We have a question from Celia.
All right, cool. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm actually Alma Miranda. I'm going to be a senior this year, and I'm still a little confused with the question I asked you, Mr. Hardy, but any teacher can answer this. So I've been taking summer classes, and my transcript is not going to be ready yet. And I really want to get in a meeting with my counselors to see what I can do regarding that, as well as arranging my schedule for my major classes as well as my senior project.
So you're going to get, so first of all, counselors are back to work on August 5th. So that's just before school starts. You should have your schedule by then. So you'll be able to work directly with your counselor at that time to make whatever changes you need to make.
Okay.
Does that help?
So should I wait until they're ready, or until they get into the office to make an appointment and sit down with them, or not sit down with them, or have a call with them and give my transcript, or what I have?
That's a counselor question. So you can definitely, who's your counselor? Is it Teeter or Hopkins?
Hopkins.
Okay.
Mr. Hopkins.
So definitely reach out to Mr. Hopkins. I mean, I know he's around and then help you with next steps.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Let's take one more question, and then what I'll try to do is to add anything that hasn't come up on our FAQ that's now on the website, our frequently asked questions. And then if you don't get your questions answered from there, please feel free to reach out to me, to call me or email with any questions that you have. How about one more question, Ken?
Okay, question from Emily.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I must have not taken my hand down. Where do we find the recording for the upload of this recorded meeting? Like,
Real quick, Ken, Lillian still has,
Sorry.
be muted, no problem. Emily, so I'm going to send a newsletter. I'm planning to do that tomorrow, and I will embed the recording in that newsletter, so you'll be able to get to the link. And then if for some reason you don't get that, just email me, send it to you.
I had another question too. Are students going to still be able to declare their majors this year?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So to declare their major, Lee Holcomb in the office is now our major, he's sort of the majors coordinator. So it'd be good to reach out to him first, and then to connect with, to make sure you have all your paperwork and all your forms, and then to reach out to your major advisor to make sure that you're on the right track and you know exactly what the expectations are. So we're a bit over time, folks, and again, I will send out all this information tomorrow. If you don't get your questions answered, please feel free to reach out to me. A deep, deep thank you to Ken for moderating. I know it's hard, and also for the teachers who spoke to our plans today. I so appreciate you. So appreciate our staff, and just deep gratitude to our parents who are hanging in there with us and helping us to create plans that are evolving and changing and improving. And I'm excited about the year to come. I know there's a lot of trepidation as well, but I really feel like we can do this. We can use this as an opportunity to figure out how to do school in a way that works for students. So let's keep working together on that. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely night. We'll see you soon.